What up, purposeful pokers and self-discovery seekers? David Richards here with you today. December 29th, Sunday. It's a beautiful December day outside. As you can see, I'm over here at the Wynn, ready to jump in. Today we are playing 25, 50, 100 in Boston Jimmy and Asian Chris's game. Mariano is driving all the way from Cali just to play in this game. I'm coming off a roller coastery emotional weekend. On Thursday, I had my biggest losing session of the year, negative 35,000. And then I followed it up with some EQ work overnight and bounced back on Friday to have my biggest winning session of the year, 48,000 in the same game. So as you can see, the swings of this game are pretty big. There's 20, 30, 40K pots, sometimes pre-flop. And we're seeing sometimes 100K pots in the game. It's Nick game. A lot of action, a lot of aggressive, capable players who aren't afraid to put the money in the pot. And so this is a really fun game. I'm looking forward to it. Boston Jimmy, Asian Chris, Ping.com will be in there. Mariano, I'm not sure who else will be in there, but good mix of pros and casuals, and it'll be a really fun game. So this session is about what happens when I choose to avoid or ignore the internal conversation energy that's coming up. Feeling lots of excitement coming into the session today about Mariano, I could hear the thoughts coming up that I tried to ignore. Thoughts like, I really want to win today, so I hope I play well and things go my way. Do I really trust myself to play against Mariano? What if I make the right play and it doesn't work out? What if? Do you find yourself trying to dismiss the thoughts, beliefs, and stories that come up before a session? Thoughts like, my bankroll's too short, so I gotta play it safe. These players are better than me, so I hope I get lucky. I hope I don't lose a big pot because I know that'll put me on tilt and I'll go right off the cliff. Or, why can't I be more consistent in my results? Am I ever going to be good enough? What I learned, once again, is that when I avoid or suppress the negative mental chatter, I make it real. Because, to my mind and your mind, when we resist or suppress a thought, we are sending a message that says it must be real, otherwise why would we try to avoid it? As a child, we say, I can't look under the bed because the boogeyman might be there. And as long as we don't look, he still might be there. But as soon as we step through the resistance, AKA fear, and look, then we confirm we are in charge, not the fear. The new reality becomes, I'm the driver and the fear is the passenger, rather than the fear is the driver and I'm the passenger. The way this shows up for me at the table, as it did in this session, is that by avoiding the negative or fearful belief, in this case, I'm not as good as Mariano, I'm going to unknowingly make illogical and self-destructive decisions that create the poker results to confirm that belief. How often have you made decisions at the table that leave you scratching your head saying, why the hell did I do that? And then beating yourself up for it on the car ride home afterwards. If you've ever found yourself in that position, this vlog is for you.
Okay, firsthand, we open AJCK and get called by a loose, call to smash casual player who is simply here to connect or let go. When he connects with both made hands and draws, his excitement and consequently his fight gets activated. So when we see deflated energy, aka no excitement on this board, we check back to give him a chance to catch up or get induced to stab. On the turn, we bet. But since he stays deflated, I actually like checking one more time or betting super tiny since we have this board locked up with top pair and the Jack of Hearts as a flush draw to back it up. Without the Jack of Hearts, we need to bet this turn for protection since he has no intention of fighting unless he catches up. All right, next hand. This is where my excitement for building the pot overwhelms what's most important, our connection to him. The most important piece of information in this hand is how did his excitement and connection to the board change from the flop to the turn? Answer, he became more deflated and more disconnected. Therefore, potting here doesn't make any sense unless I feel he's drawing or connected well and never folding. So I get to take a breath and ask a simple question. If he's even more disconnected and less excited than on the flop, then he's basically drawing dead here. So what we want to do is induce excitement to help him fight for the pot. Check is a good option. Better option, make a ridiculously sized tiny bet that wakes up his ego into fight. Something like $150 into 1800. He might call just to float and then fight on the river once we do like 180 into 2100. Point is, it doesn't matter if this works or not. Us playing outside the box will eventually push people out of their comfort zone and create action for us that others aren't getting. In the next hand, we have a Mariano Straddle, a loose casual caller. Then we isolate with pocket nines to 1200. And the villain from the previous hand, who we've just seen when he doesn't have a hand, and that is energy deflated, air out of the balloon, he 3-bets us to 3400. And here we see the opposite. We see excited and mostly settled. So we're 10K effective. And the message here, patience, patience, patience. Why gamble in a spot where we know he either has us beat, dominated, or we're hoping for a flip? Dynamic is always secondary to their energy and behavior. All right, so in hand 4, we have pocket 4s. We limp. Then we have a raise to 400. And then we have Mariano 3-betting to 1400. Again, why fight fire with fire? Even if we know Mariano is weakish here, he's very capable of gambling for 10K. So jamming here is no bueno, and calling specifically to set mine or fold is not a great option either. So we simply let go. However, what I'm not acknowledging here is the buildup of my own fight energy from folding back-to-back pocket pairs pre-flop in a game where Mariano's presence has people on edge, or more responsibly, has me on edge. So stay tuned. This is going to come into play later. All right, in hand 5, we're going to open 8-6 of hearts versus a straddle to 500, and everybody folds. This is Nick game was on, so it's always nice to take down a Nick game button with a non-hand without contest, especially in a game like this with a loose, capable dynamic.
All right, guys, quick game break here. The game is very actiony. We have the 200 straddle on probably about half the time. We just had a 3-way all-in pot, Mariano versus Arthur versus Jimmy, 15K each, ace king, ace queen, and Mariano said he had 9 high. So there's a lot of willingness to get the money in, a lot of excitable energy, wanting to gamble, wanting to just put chips in. We're just content to flow with what is, which is like they're getting the money in, so we're chilling. And by chilling, I mean we are playing patient aggressive. So we're waiting and we're flowing with what is, and we're letting things come to us. Didn't see this, but I folded ace queen in a spot where there was an open and ping 3-bet, and I had ace queen off, and I saw that ping was pretty excited and settled, so I let that go. And then another hand where I had pocket 4s, I limped. Nick game, I limp. Someone raises, Mariano 3-bets, and I had 15K, and I just saw Mariano's pretty energized and relatively excited, and we've seen that he likes to get money in and he likes to gamble. So 15K is a stack he's willing to gamble, especially in the Nick game. It's like we're going to let it go. So our strength now is being not attached. We flow with what is. We let things come to us, and we're okay not playing a hand the rest of the time. It doesn't matter to us. Whether we win, we lose, we're not attached to any outcome. We just flow with what is and just enjoy being present. So that's where we are. Let's go back in there.
Okay, so here, a reg opens to 300, and we 3-bet queen 10 offsuit to 1,000, correctly assessing the type of hand that he has, which is an open to smash type hand, and one that he's not willing to like truly fight for. However, before 3-betting, I didn't acknowledge my own internal emotional need to play it safe. And in this game dynamic, we have to be ready to step through our resistance and take calculated risks based on what we see and feel. These players are not here to simply roll over and give us easy pots. So this is an example of when facing a 4-bet, choosing to stay in my comfort zone and wait for a better spot, rather than trusting my connection and my read and choosing to step through my resistance, which was clearly I want to play it safe until I have a big hand and I can trap them when they are blowing up. Instead, we fold and he shows ace-4 of hearts. He was never planning to fight any more than the 4-bet. And by holding on to our resistance, I build more of it and it will show up later in a big spot. Remember, what you resist persists.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for watching and for supporting the channel. If you enjoy our content, please like, comment, share, subscribe. And once again, thank you for the support.
All right, here we are going to take a non-hand in the Nick game and make a play with it after connecting with flat, deflated energy from the Limpers, indicating that they are stuck in their own comfort zones, wanting to see a cheap flop to smash rather than fighting for this pot. So we make a good adjustment from the last hand, correctly stepping through the I'll wait for a hand resistance to take down this pot pre and win our nit button. However, notice the big theme of this vlog is the internal battle raging within. One side wants to fight and win, while the other side of me wants to play it safe and protect my stack. So this has me teetering on an emotional tightrope, and it's only a matter of time before a gust of wind knocks us off. Take this time to reflect on your game and how this shows up in your play. All right, everybody ready to play big pot? Let's do it. So next hand, we go 3 ways to a flop with pocket jacks. Boston Jimmy limp calls the button. I raise to 500 in the small blind, and a loose, excitable, fighty VIP calls in the big blind. So here, the important thing is I picked up on the difference between on the flop, VIP being excited and jittery, to him being more unhappy and jittery on the turn. Ultimately, my purpose at the table is to trust my connection over my hand, the board, or anything else. The way they feel about their hand will tell me everything. When I ignore it, it's because I chose to ignore the buildup of clutter or resistance in my own mind. Our connection tells us that he connected, but not well, and not a made hand. Since his unacknowledged excitable energy will have him continue fighting for the pot on the turn, we call the flop to let him continue barreling. The turn is a great card for us, and seeing and feeling that we still have the best hand, we jam, and we hold on 2 boards versus 3, 4 of clubs. So this hand gives us a bit of emotional reprieve and the perception of room to breathe, but ultimately it doesn't resolve my unacknowledged resistance within. The truth is, deep down, by trying to bypass the internal conversation, we are choosing to be in a state of unresolved emotional survival, meaning that the game is in charge of how we feel, and our unconscious mind believes that we are not in control. What's the result? We will continue to do what is most emotionally comfortable in the moment. Sometimes that means calling, and sometimes that means folding. So it's whatever is standard or safe, rather than doing anything which would require us to confront the pain that we are trying to avoid.
Finally, pocket kings. All my waiting, all my patience. As you can see from earlier going on, I was pretty frustrated. It's a big game. Like, players are fighting, players are getting in there, players are battling, and that's what I came to do. Or at least part of me came here to prove himself. I'm good enough to play this game. I want to win. I want to get in there. I want to battle. And so far, that part of me has been consciously sidelined. I've been saying to him, nope, can't fight, not now. Now you can't fight, not time yet. And so that side of me has been waiting for his moment to come out. And here it is, pocket kings. When I peeled kings, just excitement went through the roof. Like, just the rush of adrenaline. Finally, I get to fight. I get to play big pot, and I'm the man now. I got the cards, and now I get to win a big pot. And so immediately the excitement took over, heart pounding, neck pulsating, trying to settle it with my breath. But in doing that, I'm resisting it because I'm like, okay, I don't want to be feeling this. I got to hide it. I got to make sure that they don't see what I'm feeling. Rather than saying, okay, we're excited right now. Let's breathe. Let's embrace it. Let's settle it in so that I can get back to the higher intention, which is let's connect. So instead, what happened? Ignored my excitement, ignored my frustration before that, And then the thought that came up when I peeled it is, all right, let's trap. Because so far, I haven't trusted myself in this game, and I've been avoiding the thoughts of, I don't trust myself to play against Mariano because he's better than me. So I don't want to have him 3-bet the button as he did, and then me 4-bet, and now I'm playing a bloated pot out of position, and like, fuck, what if something happens and I don't trust myself, and then I'm going to put myself in a predicament. And by resisting those thoughts, as we'll see, that's exactly what I did. Put myself in a predicament where I had nothing left to do except hold on and pray.
All right, so here it is. The end result of the buildup of all our emotional resistance. And this hand is going to make absolutely no sense poker-wise. And so we're going to explain here what's happening anytime you see you or another player just do something completely inexplicable at the table. So as I said, this hand was a buildup of the unacknowledged thoughts coming into the game. It was also a buildup of within the game of waiting for a good hand to fight back, backing us into an emotional corner. So coming into the session, I had all these thoughts of Mariano is super capable and he will try to run me over ideas. And I didn't acknowledge that the deeper belief behind those is that he's better than me, or more accurately, I'm not good enough. This belief has very little to do with poker, but without releasing it, it will show up in poker directly. So when Mariano 3-bet me pre, my excitement, pocket kings, went into overdrive. And instead of choosing to settle it, I reacted with whatever impulse felt most comfortable. I ended up calling because I don't want to bloat the pot out of position, and I want Mariano to blast off. Whatever the logic was, it was rooted in fear and doing what felt most comfortable in the moment, rather than trusting my intuition and connection. Reality is, without clearing out the energy of I'm not good enough and he's better than me, I was going to see in this hand exactly whatever I need to see to confirm that story or underlying belief. This is what happens when we play unconsciously through our limiting beliefs or made up mental story, rather than through connection, intuition, or even the reality of the present moment. My unconscious plan for the hand became check call and hold on for dear life. It had nothing to do with connection, behavior, or anything else. It was, if I'm not good enough, the only thing I can do is close my eyes, call down, and hope for the best, which is exactly what I did every single street. When he was acting nervous and jittery and wanting me to believe he was weak, what I saw was my own reflection of feeling extremely nervous and jittery, which is what I perceived in him, rather than seeing how he actually was, which was settled, playful, and quirky. And then even when the poker gods tried to bail me out by giving me the easiest board to get away from ever, an ace, and then a one-liner to a straight, it didn't matter. By that point, the one that was in charge of my decision-making was the little voice saying, you've been waiting all day to trap Mariano. He's capable of anything. All you can do is call and just hope he's bluffing. If that voice sounds like Phil Hellmuth, that's because it is. That's my I'm incapable to do anything but hold on voice. And how did it take over? Because at no point did I address the thoughts about myself and Mariano coming into the day. And it kept building as I saw his aggression, and it added to the belief I can't outplay him. I'll have to catch him bluffing. As painful of a lesson as this was, it's a beautiful reminder of where the work gets to happen. Awareness is step one. Responsibility and release work are steps two. All right, next hand, we get pocket aces. We're going to isolate to 1,000 in the straddle and get one caller. And then on a paired board, we're going to fire flop and turn about pot size, and it's just too big. This is another example of not acknowledging my excitement and going for the gusto when the player is clearly doesn't have a hand that can withstand pressure. Ultimately, letting my excitement run the show is costing me a ton of value. As we said, creating awareness of what's not working is step one. From there, we simply create habits that work to build a new pattern, such as deep, conscious breaths in the moment, fully acknowledging whatever we're feeling, and then priming our unconscious mind to connect in the moment above all else. Next hand, we have Queen 10 offsuit. Here we isolate and get heads up versus the loose call to smash casual player. And after losing the big pot to Mariano, my need to play it safe is front and center above all else. And this hand is simply me choosing to play within my comfort zone rather than risk being uncomfortable by going for thin value on this river and possibly getting raised. The learning is constant expansion of my comfort zone by realizing and creating the experience within that I'm safe regardless of what play I make or don't make, or how the results end up in the hand or the session. And then last hand of the session, one more for you guys. We go 3 ways to a flop with pocket fours, and we flop bottom set. Button bets 500 on the flop, and he's going to bet 1,200 on the turn, and we raise to 4,000 on a wet board. Could have went smaller here based on my connection to him. The thought was that it's a wet board, and he's always calling this turn. In general, my sizing is something that I'm currently working on, and there's just zero reason for me to miss out on getting max value or inducing players into blowups when connection is the name of the game. Reality is, even with perfect connection, applying the correct strategy with that connection is just as vital in getting the outcome that I choose.
So the lesson for today is that by embracing or choosing to step into the pain, that's the fastest way to dissolve the pain. What happens mentally and emotionally when we avoid pain is it becomes suffering. Notice what happens to your game when you're actively ignoring or avoiding underlying negative feelings and emotions. How does that turn out for you? Does it ultimately help you avoid pain? Or does this resistance cause you to create more suffering, and with it, the same vicious cycle of living in the negative self-talk? Because the key is right there. There is a way to be able to live your life and play poker without the burden of trying to constantly prove yourself to your own voice and feeling dissatisfied, lost, and ultimately playing poker and living your life in the way that feels like a constant struggle or a burdensome chore. That's where we come in. So thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, share it with your friends. We're grateful for the support, and see you for Vlog 7.